Hello my friends, my name is Tim Johnson. For those of you who watched my last video on the gifts of sobriety, and please have a look if you get a chance, you'll know that from now on this channel, these videos aren't about any sort of ego or self-seeking, because I suppose inevitably in the past, whoever makes these types of videos about themselves, there's an element of ego and seeking approval in it, and self-seeking, if you like, looking for likes, looking for views. And you know, I've been guilty of that in the past, I suppose. I've never tried to make any money on these videos, and never will, because they're not about that. And really from now on, it's about me trusting that whenever I make these videos, and it's only really when I've got something I feel might be useful to say, sharing my truth and honestly from my heart, and hoping that the video, and trusting that the video will reach anybody who needs to see it, basically. Once it goes into the virtual ether, if you like, it's beyond my control anyway. And if you see these videos, maybe you are meant to see them, and I really hope that you get something from them, and they help you, and my experiences help you in some way, some small way. Doesn't matter how tiny it is, as long as they help in some way. Anyway, enough of that, because there's 397 videos I think on the channel now. It's a lot of videos, and this video I want to make today, I've just entitled Alcoholism and Addiction. And the reason I've done that is because a lot of people really don't understand alcoholism or addiction, really. It's very, it's only now people in science are coming around to the fact that with addiction and alcoholism, it's generally beyond that person's control in a lot of ways. Whereas in the past, I think society has labelled those people as pleasure seekers and people who can't face the world, you know, and hide behind drugs and drink and all the rest of it. And I suppose there's an element of that because we are hiding in certain ways. And I just want to speak my truth about alcoholism and addiction, because people don't like to use the word alcoholic. And please, my life stories on this channel, and I'm not going to share all the war stories with you. If you're interested and you want to see, if you look under the created playlists on the homepage of the channel, and there's I think 19 popular videos, and my life story is in 4 parts, and if you're interested, have a look at it. But basically, it's very difficult for a lot of people to admit they are an addict and an alcoholic because of the stigma attached to those words, if you like. Let me just explain what my understanding is of it, because I've got no problems with saying that I'm Tim Johnson and I'm an alcoholic. I am. And I'm an addict. I am. There's no doubting in my mind about that. And I address that every single day now, and face that, because I know that I can't put a drink or a drug in my mouth without there being serious consequences and chaos and unmanageability. I can't do that. And that tells me I'm an alcoholic and an addict. And many people can drink heavily and take drugs, if you like, and recreationally, and stop, just like that. Just maybe have a night of it, maybe have a drink, maybe have 2 drinks, maybe have a few drinks, maybe drink heavily, and then have a few days without and not feel any longing or desire or craving or compulsion or obsession that someone like myself and maybe yourself will feel. With addiction and alcoholism, let's talk about alcoholism, drink, everything that relates to alcoholism relates to drug addiction. There's no doubt about that. It's exactly the same. Obviously a different substance and different consequences, but the consequences are in the end the same. They end in death. You know, there's no doubting that. At the very extreme end of it, there's only death and misery that awaits. So what is an alcoholic, if you like? Well, for me, what explains my alcoholism is that if I take one alcoholic drink, put one alcoholic drink inside of me, that ignites a compulsion in me, an obsession in me, that means I cannot stop. I cannot stop drinking until, and it brings me massive negative consequences, and it will end up in either me blacking out or creating havoc somewhere, and unmanageability and chaos and hurt and destruction. As many words as you want to put on it, negative consequences, and to my health, to my well-being, to my mental health, to everything. It affects everything. But I can't stop. And then the next day, I'll put a drink in because I'll be obsessed. Once I've ignited that obsession by taking a drink, the cycle starts again. And away we go again. And inevitably over a short period of time, because it's always worse with, for instance, relapses. It's a progressive illness, addiction and alcoholism. So it always gets worse. It never gets any better. You know, there's no doubting that either. So in a relapse, for example, you know, immediately within days, within a couple of days, and I've been there and I've experienced this over the last year or so, you know, you're back drinking more, got 2 bottles of vodka within 3-4 days. And then inevitably you become dependent on that substance, physically as well as mentally, in every way. So you start to suffer, when you don't have it, withdrawal symptoms. And that's alcohol dependency. But alcoholism in itself is this one drink obsession, compulsion, and not being able to stop. There's nothing that will stop you. You will go until there's no more drink or you're unconscious. And that's totally different to binge drinking. Binge drinking, you know, is just drinking a lot in a short period of time. And binge drinkers may be alcoholics or may become dependent on alcohol, but it's a certainly different thing. Now, I'm not going to blame my alcoholism or addiction on, because I did for a long time, I had a victim mentality. I'm not going to blame it on my past. Inevitably, and again, there's very much scientific proof around this. Have a look, listen to Gabor Mate and people like that, experts on the subject. Inevitably, there's pain somewhere behind addiction. And generally, that pain may stem from childhood and abuse and grief and death and many horrible things, trauma, PTSD, mental illness, depression, anxiety, all sorts of things can lead to pain, which will lead you to drink. But inevitably, alcoholism is when you have that drink, to hide from that pain, you can't stop. It's simple as that. You know, there's no stopping you. It ignites that. People say it's an allergy. People say it's hereditary. It's in the genes. It's hereditary. I'm not going to get into any of that at all. I just know myself, and it's only really recently that I've had a real good look at myself, honestly. Although I've had long periods of sobriety, you'll know if you follow the channel, 5 years, you know, and those blips in between, but all that time sort of hanging on a dry drunk, really, doing all the right things that you do need to do in sobriety, like exercising and eating healthily, supplementation, meditation, doing all those things, but ultimately not going the full way, really, and not really surrendering inside my head, not just knowing that enough is enough. Somewhere in the back of my head there was that little voice saying, moderate, you can moderate, which is, you know, if you're like me, if you're an alcoholic and addict, moderation is not a word that you should even consider. Just laugh at it. It won't happen. The thing is, I've never done anything in moderation all my life. And this is another clue into the type of personality which leads into alcoholism and addiction. Moderation doesn't happen. You know, I could never moderate with exercise, with food, with relationships, with work, with you name it. And obviously, eventually, drink and drugs. But always with drink and drugs. From the very first time I had an alcoholic drink, I ended up unconscious. And that was a clue that I should have taken note of. 20 odd years of of destruction and hurt, and hiding from a massive feeling of because there is this pain inside of us all, that get involved, that hide behind drink and drugs, which can lead on to dependency. A pain that is like restless, irritable and discontent, they call it, a big hole that you need to fill. And sometimes you're hiding from emotions that you want to hide from, like fear and anger ignites that feeling that you need to drink. And this is why I'm in a program now, which I'm not going to promote on here because it's attraction, not promotion. And for the first time in my life, I've found a true peace, a fellowship, a friendship, non-judgment, a program that is perfect for me, basically. One which I did find many years ago, and really wish I'd stuck at it and stayed at it, because I didn't recognise at the time, but it would have saved a lot of heartache over the last 16, 17 years, because that's when I first found it. And for 5 years on this channel, I've given you loads of things about the sort of healthy lifestyle and mental tricks and all the rest of it. But ultimately, if you're a true alcoholic or an addict, there's only one way, and you have to also deal with that pain. If that's firing you on to take the first drink in the first place, to numb yourself, to numb your feelings, to numb current feelings, past feelings, future feelings. If it's fear you're trying to hide from. Because I use drinking and drugs in every circumstance: celebration, grief, fear, anger, regret, you name it. All those negative emotions were excuses for me to drink and take drugs. And ultimately, if you're doing the right things and you're following a proper program, then that won't even enter your head. And the compulsion to take that first drink, and it's very simple: don't take that first drink, or take that first drug, don't put it in your mouth. That's the solution. How you get to that and how you take away and remove the compulsion to do that, you have to work on yourself, and you have to put work in and effort. And that means surrendering, and that means following a program, and that means dealing with your past hurt with professional help if necessary, or talking in a group situation. However you decide to do it and face your alcoholism and addiction, if you recognize it and see. Because if you continue to do that, follow that circle with negative consequences and can't stop taking that first drink, and it leads on to carnage and unmanageability, and you're powerless against that, then you're an alcoholic. There's no doubt about it, and you're an addict. And that label doesn't worry me in any way, shape or form now. And giving service is really important to me, and paying back to people who are new to the program and fellow alcoholics and addicts, and giving service wherever I can, and being kind, considerate, helpful, and those things, and grateful, gratitude. I mean, it all goes such a massive way to changing that mindset, and that compulsion will leave you. I'm not going to talk about the program in detail because, again, it's about attraction. But if you recognize this alcoholism and addiction in yourself, and please have a listen to my life story on the channel, then if you recognize it, then it's very easy to contact the relevant people. It's freely available. Just look in online or to any website, and it'll guide you to AA, NA, CA, whatever it is. Smart recovery, there's groups, there's all sorts of stuff. I know what works for me, and I will be continuing to do it. I've never felt better in my life. I'm making new friends that I never dreamed of, and finding a peace and a happiness that I never dreamed I'd find. And my family are noticing it. They see a massive difference in me. Even over those years of sobriety, there was always that anxiety and hanging on by the fingernails, if you like, and compulsion it was an addiction in a different way. Exercise, food, healthiness, pushing myself in every single way. Pain, feeling pain, out of your comfort zone. And all these things can be useful, but ultimately you need a program to follow. I hope that's been of some use to you. It's my take on it. It's my opinion, if you like. It's my truth. You don't have to agree with it. I put it out there now for anyone who finds it useful, basically. Carpe Diem, seize the day. Much love to you. That's the motto of this channel. And life is a miracle, and you should be grateful for every moment that you experience of it. And it's okay to be okay, and it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay not to be perfect, to be perfectly imperfect, which is what I know I am. And that's all okay as well. Once you let go of control and put it into the hands of someone else or something else, then you'll feel like a massive weight has been lifted off your shoulders. And give it a go is all I can say. Much love to you all. Bye-bye.